That's what Grandpa used to say. And on that humid summer afternoon in Nebraska, watching the group of teenage boys hop the broken fence onto her family's land, Cassidy May Carter remembered those words like a whisper from the grave. She squinted into the sun, wiped the sweat from her brow, and silently closed the barn door behind her. No one ever noticed Cassidy. That was the way she liked it. A dusty flannel shirt, torn jeans, straw-colored hair tucked under a weathered ball cap. Just a quiet farm girl, they said. Too soft to be noticed, too kind to be a threat. But these boys had no idea. They were loud, drunk, and young, the worst kind of stupid. Bored summer kids from town, looking for somewhere to blow off steam. They laughed as they broke fence posts, knocked over water buckets, and lit a cigarette near the dry hay bales like it was all some game. Cassidy watched from the barn shadows, her breath steady. The past 6 months had been about healing. About turning the page. Civilian life, they said, would be peaceful. But now, watching these boys desecrate the land her family had worked for generations, she felt that old part of her stir. The part that didn't flinch at gunfire. The part that could disappear into jungle or desert and leave no trace behind. The part that didn't tolerate threats. She stepped into the light, slow and deliberate. "Y'all must be real bored to be messin' with a girl's land," she said, her voice calm but sharp like cold steel. The boys turned, laughed. One, a broad-shouldered kid named Tyler, a senior with more muscles than brains, swaggered toward her. "You the farm girl," he sneered. "Didn't know you could talk." Cassidy didn't blink. "You've got exactly 5 seconds to leave." Tyler stepped closer, towering over her. "Or what? You gonna milk us to death?" The other boys laughed, tossing beer bottles in the dirt, but Cassidy's eyes never left Tyler's. She wasn't angry. Anger was messy. Anger got people killed. She was something else, focused. 5 seconds passed. Cassidy moved. In less than 3 heartbeats, Tyler was on the ground, his wrist twisted behind his back, face pressed into the dirt. The others froze. They hadn't seen her move, not really. Just a blur of motion, and now their buddy was crying out for help. "Delta Force, 1st SFODD, she said softly. 12 years, 2 combat tours. I've trained in more ways to take down a man than you can count with both hands." She let him go, and he scrambled back like a dog kicked too hard. "Now, leave." But of course, they didn't. Not yet. Pride is a powerful drug, and humiliation in front of your friends is even worse. Over the next week, they came back, again and again. They flattened her crops, graffitied her barn, slashed her truck tires. One night, they even killed one of her goats and left the body by the porch. That was the night Cassidy cried. Not out of fear, out of heartbreak. That goat had belonged to her little brother, Luke, the last real thing she had left of him. He'd died 5 years ago in a farm accident. Cassidy had been deployed overseas. She'd never forgiven herself for not being there. When she buried the goat under the old oak tree, something inside her shifted. She realized that being silent didn't protect anything. That hiding didn't preserve peace, it only invited chaos. The next morning, Cassidy drove to town. She walked straight into the sheriff's office and dropped a flash drive on the desk. On it were video recordings from the trail cams she'd hidden across her property, faces, dates, actions, everything. She handed over a thick file, copies of police reports, photos, and evidence meticulously documented. "Do your job," she said to the sheriff, a man too comfortable with looking the other way, and then she walked out. The bullies returned that night, this time angrier, emboldened. They brought more kids. 5 trucks pulled up at once, their headlights flooding the fields. They shouted her name, daring her to come out. She did, and this time, Cassidy didn't hold back. She didn't need weapons. The land was her weapon. They fell into the irrigation ditches she'd uncovered, tripped over barbed wire strung knee-high between posts, were disoriented by floodlights she triggered from a hidden switch in the barn. One by one, they panicked, stumbling into each other, running from shadows. Cassidy moved like a ghost, precise and silent. She cornered them, not with violence, but with fear, the kind that creeps in when you realize you're not in control anymore. By the time the sheriff showed up, 3 boys were in the pond, 2 had locked themselves in the chicken coop, and Tyler was sobbing in the dirt with a dislocated shoulder. Cassidy stood on the porch, arms crossed. "You took your time," she said to the sheriff. He said nothing, just took them away. Charges were pressed. Parents were furious, but the evidence was clear. Cassidy hadn't touched a single one of them. The land had done all the work. Over the next few months, the story spread. First in whispers, then louder. Not just about the bullies, but about her, the quiet farm girl who turned out to be something more. A warrior, a protector. She started teaching self-defense classes at the community center. Mostly girls at first, then boys too. She taught discipline, control, boundaries. She taught respect, for people, for land, and for yourself. She still lived on the farm. Still wore flannel and worked from sunrise to sunset. But she wasn't hiding anymore. And the kids who used to throw bottles from truck windows now nodded respectfully when they passed by. Because sometimes strength isn't about fists or fury. Sometimes strength is a woman with scars who chooses to build something better, not because she has to, but because she can.